My hands were shaking so badly that the coffee in front of me trembled like it was alive, tiny ripples betraying the storm inside me. I remember staring at the surface, trying to steady my breath, when she leaned forward and said something so simple yet so devastating that for a moment my heart genuinely forgot how to beat. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was the kind of sentence that splits your life into two parts, before you heard it and after. Before we go further, if stories like this touch your heart, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Stories Beyond the Porch. Your support keeps these stories alive, and trust me, this one, it stays with you. It had been an ordinary evening, the kind that blends into 1,000 others without leaving a trace. The cafe smelled like roasted beans and something sweet, maybe cinnamon or nostalgia. I could never tell the difference. Outside, the city moved like it always did, loud and restless, but inside that small space, everything felt slower, softer, almost suspended in time. And there she was, sitting across from me, stirring her coffee like she was trying to dissolve something deeper than sugar. Her name was Ariba, or at least, that's how I had come to know her. There was something about her that never quite fit into words. She wasn't the kind of person you noticed instantly in a crowded room, but once you did, you couldn't unsee her. It was in the way she listened, in the quiet pauses she left between her sentences, in the sadness she carried so gently that most people mistook it for calmness. We had met by accident, or at least, that's what I told myself. A misplaced book at a library, a brief apology, a shared laugh that lingered longer than expected. From there, it became coffee, then conversations, then silence that didn't feel awkward anymore. Weeks turned into months, and somehow, without either of us saying it out loud, she became a part of my routine, and then a part of me. But loving someone quietly is a dangerous thing. It grows in the shadows, unnoticed, until one day it's too big to ignore. That evening, something felt different. She wasn't her usual self. There was a weight in her eyes, like she had already lived through the conversation we were about to have, and didn't want to repeat it. I tried to lighten the mood, talking about random things, the weather, work, a funny incident I barely remembered, but she just nodded, her smile faint and distant. It felt like trying to hold on to smoke. And then, after a long pause that seemed to stretch endlessly, she finally looked at me, really looked at me, and that's when she said it. She told me she was leaving, not just the cafe, not just the city. She was leaving everything behind. At first, it didn't register. My mind refused to process the words, like it was protecting me from something it knew would hurt. I remember forcing a small smile, asking her what she meant, hoping she would laugh it off, say it was a joke. But she didn't. She explained that she had accepted a job in another country. It was something she had been working toward for years, something she couldn't turn down. She spoke calmly, logically, like someone reading from a script. But her fingers betrayed her, gripping the cup too tightly, her knuckles pale against the porcelain. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words got stuck somewhere between my heart and my throat. Because the truth was, I wasn't just losing a friend. I was losing the person who had quietly become the center of my world. And then she said the sentence that stopped my heart. She told me she had always known. She said she knew the way I looked at her wasn't just friendship. She knew about the pauses, the unsaid words, the moments I thought I had hidden so well. She had seen it all, and she had chosen silence. That realization hit harder than anything else. Not the distance, not the goodbye, but the fact that she had known and still let it continue this way. There was no anger in her voice, no accusation. Just a quiet sadness, like she was apologizing for something she didn't know how to fix. She told me she didn't want to hurt me, that she valued what we had too much to risk losing it, that she wasn't sure she could give me what I deserved. And in that moment, everything made sense and nothing did. I felt exposed, like every hidden piece of me had been laid out in the open. But more than that, I felt helpless, because how do you fight for something when the other person has already decided to let it go? The cafe around us faded into the background, the clinking cups, the distant chatter. It all became noise. The only thing that mattered was the space between us, filled with everything we had never said. I wanted to tell her that it didn't matter, that I didn't need anything more, that just having her in my life was enough. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true, because loving someone changes you. It makes you want things you never thought you needed. Time passed, though I couldn't say how much. Minutes felt like hours, and hours felt like seconds. Eventually, she stood up, her movements slow, almost reluctant. She reached for her bag, then paused, like she was waiting for something, maybe for me to stop her. But I didn't, not because I didn't want to, but because I knew that some departures can't be prevented. They have to happen, no matter how much it hurts. She left with a small smile, the kind people give when they're trying not to cry. And just like that, she was gone. I sat there long after she had disappeared into the crowd. The coffee in front of me had gone cold, untouched. It felt symbolic somehow, like everything I had been holding on to. The days that followed were the hardest. Everything reminded me of her, the streets we walked, the places we sat, even the silence we used to share. It was like she had left pieces of herself everywhere, and I didn't know how to exist without them. But slowly, something began to change. I started to understand that love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go, about accepting that not every story is meant to have the ending you hoped for. And in that acceptance, I found something unexpected peace. Months later, I returned to that same cafe. The same table, the same chair. It felt different, yet strangely familiar. I ordered coffee, this time taking a sip before it could grow cold. I realized that while she had left, the part of me that loved her hadn't disappeared. It had simply transformed into something quieter, something stronger, because love, real love, doesn't vanish. It stays, it shapes you, it teaches you, and sometimes it breaks your heart just enough to make room for something new. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Stories Beyond the Porch, because stories like this remind us that even in heartbreak, there's beauty. Before you go, I have a special request for you. In the comments, write one line. Some goodbyes teach us how to love better. Let's see how many hearts this story reached. Because somewhere out there, someone is sitting over coffee right now, hearing words that might change their life forever.